Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wayne Lou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast. After the Raptors lose, well, by a lot, 116-94 in MSG, second night of a back-to-back, and the continued absences of RJ Barrett and also Poeltl continues to be on that Kawhi Leonard load management plan where he's not playing back-to-back. So he played last night in Charlotte. Raptors lost in that one in overtime, very frustrating fashion, and you knew you were going to be in tough going into MSG, especially shorthanded. I also think that, the Raptors have just not beaten the Knicks, at all since the OG trade. Raptors are now 0-7 against the Knicks. Since making that deal, the Raptors had already lost twice to the Knicks prior to that season before RJ and IQ came our way and OG went the other way. But, if you just want to strictly count post-trade, they're 0-7. And this one, I'm not going to lie to you, I actually find losses really interesting because, we get to have a more nuanced discussion about sort of what's missing and what can get better from here. I think that when the Raptors went on this stretch of 13 or 14 wins, including 9 in a row, it kind of got everyone's expectations up to such a high level that, you know what, it probably surpassed the true level of the team. The Raptors did have a couple of fortunate wins during that stretch. But again, I think that's all good. I think that those are all good things that really help establish for a young team, an ability to, develop some confidence in themselves and how they want to play and affirming the identity and the work that they put into it. So all that's good. I think losses are really good because you actually get a sense of what you need to work towards and what you need to do next. As fun as it is to come on here and slander, as fun as it is to come on here and celebrate, all those things are good. And it doesn't negate those feelings. It's not silly to have those feelings. But I also think that there's real learning moments. And I think that if the Raptors are looking to make the next step and continue building on this, because we know we're well aware that this team is still a very young team that really wants to start growing and, hopefully make the playoffs for the first time and hopefully make some noise for the first time and gain some, notoriety and not just be the team sneaking up on teams, but the team that is actually going in and competing against some of the best teams in the NBA. There's going to be some real steps to take. The Raptors aren't going to suddenly jump from nobodies to somebodies. You know what I mean? They actually need to sort of have these type of games. So I think I just really wanted to have a mature conversation about sort of what went on. Obviously tonight, you could just say that it's entirely because of the circumstances. I don't think that that's fair to the Knicks, who played really well. I don't think that that's really productive for the Raptors to just be these losses are hard, I'm going to push away negative feelings. That's kind of stupid in my opinion. I think we should face some of these things head on. And I think that when you lose a game like this, it's not just because of the fact that you're tired second night of a back-to-back. I mean, we just had 2 nights off before that. So yeah, I'm not even trying to hear that, quite frankly. It's fine. I still think that you should be more competitive than this. And so let's actually talk about some of the things that didn't go right in this one. First off, defensively, the Raptors, despite actually being better defensively this year, they've taken some tangible steps. During that win streak, they could not have done it without being much better on defense. And they made some adjustments after their really terrible start, 1-4 to the season. During that time, they were giving up 130 points per game. They made some key improvements. The last couple games, the defense has actually been solid. They held Indiana under 100. They did a good job against Charlotte until crunch time when Charlotte obviously took over. This one, you just felt zero defensive impact. The Raptors were so out of sorts. The Knicks can give you a lot of problems because they have Cat, who's kind of a walking mismatch at the 5. They have Brunson, who is as good of a one-on-one scorer as there is in this league. They got good role players, but the Raptors just were not organized. They were not getting back in transition. They were losing shooters nonstop. I mean, Miles McBride put the Knicks up really early and put the Knicks, basically they were in the driver's seat the entire game because McBride hit 4 threes in the first quarter. And all those threes just kept the Knicks ahead. Darko had to call 3 timeouts in the first quarter. Raptors just could not get it together. And I credit the Raptors for playing much better in the second quarter. Scottie hit 3 straight threes, and you had a stretch there where CMB was getting every rebound, and the Raptors were scrapping. Mamu came in. You know what I mean? Like, they did a couple things to sort of make it closer of a game, and they got it down to single digits by half, which is all you could really ask for after being down 24. But, that they were playing catch-up. And, of course, once the Raptors, run, kind of got themselves back into the game, the Knicks easily pulled away again in the third quarter, and similar problems start to crop up. And so I think Raptors, honestly, the last couple games have really shown that against increased physicality, the Raptors are not withstanding it well. This is a common thing with young teams, but I think it's a particular problem for the Raptors. They're quite small, right? They're just quite small, and in terms of who's a plus, if you look at Josh Hart, for example, he's obviously not just physical, but he's well above physical for his position, right? He's like 6'4", but he plays like he's 6'10". So in terms of that type of player on the team, I think Scottie plays a little bit bigger than he is, but Scottie, if you see him in real life, he's just a behemoth anyway. And certainly there are plays where he gets sort of out-jumped or out-muscled at the rim. He leaves a couple short finishes short, but ultimately that's still your most physical player. Aside from that, IQ, not physical. Jacoby Walter wants to be physical, but still too young, kind of gets pushed around. Certainly got pushed around a little by Hart, kind of got himself benched a little bit by Darko because he missed a rebound in the second half. Mamu and CMB, God bless them. CMB actually fought like crazy on the glass, but feels like CMB has to play well above his marks to even get to some of these rebounds because he's battling, for his position like a Mitchell Robinson. The physicality the battle was lost there. And then Brandon, as good as Brandon has been, and Brandon has come off 2 straight games where he had 37 against the Cavs in a win. He had the game winner against the Pacers in a win. He's been celebrated all over, and rightfully so. He's been great. But if there's one thing after losses you can learn about people, it's like, okay, you see the good in them, and then you see the bad in them. And it's just like, the physicality battle has been lost. You know what I mean? And whether that's the Hornets getting under him and using physical defenders and pushing him off his spots, whatever. But this one against Mikal Bridges, not only did Bridges have the physicality to bump Ingram, but he also is one of the rare defenders that has the length to guard Ingram. And so, you just really couldn't see Ingram getting into this game at all. I'll accept this because this is easily his worst game as a Raptor and since joining here. And, I honestly, the way that the Raptors are handling Jakob, that's kind of how I thought they might handle Ingram, considering he only played 18 games last season. He might have already surpassed that mark already to start the year. I don't think he's missed a game, so he's in 21 games played already. So that's already great, and I'm happy to see him come back to full strength. But tonight, you didn't even feel him. He made a couple extra plays. Of course, as you can always imagine, he's a leading scorer. He's taking 20 shots a game, so defenses are going to key in on him, and certainly saw the Knicks put extra defenders, but. Outside of a couple plays where he set guys up, you just didn't really get to feel, his impact. And then obviously off the second unit, you just didn't really, again, the Raptors are just kind of not strong enough, not physical enough across the board. And I know this has been a big focus for the team to sort of be this, they want to become really good defensively. They want to pressure teams, I'd say they even want to bully teams a little bit. I just don't think that that's particularly matching the personnel that you have. If you have what the Knicks have, which is a bunch of vets, and they're strong and they're physical, and you got Hart, you got Bridges, you got even Brunson's very physical on the offensive end, and then he'll take in a charge. You know what I mean? You got OG regularly in there. Yeah, okay, go ahead, do all that kind of stuff. If you got what the Raptors are going to play next, they're going to come home to start a 5-game homestand. They got Portland starting off on Tuesday. Portland's a team that really has all sorts of physical wings. We're about to see it, right? And so if they want to play physical and be that bully ball team, those teams have the personnel. I think the Raptors keep folding under these pressures, man. Even the Indiana game, the reason it came close at the end, one, it was TJ McConnell, but two, it was just because they just became more physical across the board. So all that pretty basketball you saw the Raptors playing, where it's pass, space, move, cut, off ball flares and little duck-ins and stuff like that. There were none of that. All that easy, with Scottie running out in transition, getting a early seal, and then playing out of that. Like it works against soft teams, like Cleveland. Like Cleveland, frankly, very soft team. They're a good team, but they're soft. Like it works against, the other opponents that the Raptors have been playing. But, I think when you look ahead to when you play meaningful opponents, you are going to run into this issue. I feel like matchups wise, the teams that I could really see that I'm going to keep a particular eye on that could really get them trouble are like the Portlands of the world, the Knicks of the world, the Magic of the world. The Magic probably aren't that fluid offensively, but defensively they certainly have the size to bang. And that's where I keep seeing the Raptors lose these type of battles. Now, of course, granted, like tonight they didn't have Jakob Poeltl, and Jakob Poeltl, holds it together. But part of why Jakob's so essential is because he actually brings some sort of size where, he's on the rebounding front. He's getting, he's ending possessions, right? The Raptors got killed on the offensive glass tonight. He's ending possessions. On the offensive side for the Raptors, he's screening and actually creating separation for his guys to go. And then he's also not just screening, but he's rolling and sealing his man so that he's actually creating space. Like he's like a little blocker on the offensive end. When he's not in the game, you just really notice the lack of physicality. Even RJ is not that physical defensively, but RJ is very physical offensively, and you see the toughness that he plays through. So if guys want to pressure up on him, RJ, A, is very good at drawing fouls, but B, is very good at playing through that and actually being strong enough with his handle and quick enough and strong enough and just to break through some of that. RJ's kind of like a running back in that scenario. Without that, you see the Raptors really struggle to get to the rim, like really. And again, like obviously the physicality of the other teams have been great. I want to compliment them on that. That's what we saw here from the Knicks. But like, they didn't even have OG. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if OG was out there. But you don't quite see that. Like, you're a little bit surprised, or at least I am, when IQ actually keeps the dribble alive and gets all the way to the basket. Tonight, he actually did a better job of that, and he actually created more paint touches than usual. Part of that is because the Knicks' wing defense might be very strong, but the Knicks' guard defense is bad, so he's able to get past Brunson or Clarkson or Kolek, who came in late in the game. I guess he didn't really play that much in actual time, but so he was able to get to the rim, but that's kind of more of an exception. You know what I mean? Like mostly he's getting his damage in terms of the transition threes, and certainly he had a hot stretch there in the second quarter where, that was part of the Raptors comeback was IQ knocking down some threes where, he catches you by surprise from the top and, he's very aggressive, shoot the 30-footers. But I actually think that like what's more important is the point guard being able to get to whatever spots they want to on the floor. And you saw a little bit of that quickly tonight, so I commend him. But in general, you don't see a lot of the Raptors keeping the dribble alive and getting to the basket. Now, part of that is because Darko prefers to play with the pass rather than from the dribble. But Raptors aren't that strong off the dribble either. They're not a very good get to point A to point B, get a paint touch, and go. Part of that is Jamal Shead, who has been great in this season. And that's one of the big reasons why the Raptors are 14-7. Hasn't been great the last week. And I'd say this in terms of just like, it's funny because you think about it, you're like, okay, he hasn't been great for the week. What's the big surprise here? He's a sophomore. Well, here's the thing. Jamal's become essential. So it's not like it's almost like he's a sixth starter for them, right? He's essential. So if he has a bad game or if he isn't impacting, and the last like 3-4 games he really hasn't been, you feel it, man. There's nobody else out there that really comes in and gives you that little change of speed, that pace, that punch, that ball movement. Just didn't see a lot of that tonight. And if you look at the last couple games, against the Pacers, McConnell definitely won that matchup in the backup point guard position. You look at last game, Collin Sexton definitely won that matchup in the backup point guard department. And this one, you didn't really have another point guard. Really, the Knicks kind of started both of them with Bridges or with Deuce McBride and Brunson. So if you really compare him to like McBride, who's like the other small guard that they play, I mean, McBride definitely won that matchup, right? And so, like, I don't know how, but they got to figure out some way to get Jamal back into his game. I have seen the theory that like, okay, maybe teams are really noticing, okay, the Raptors are winning. We've got to put a little bit more focus into the scouts. Jamal has clearly been a huge positive. The Raptors second unit has clearly been a huge positive. How do we, like maybe they're focusing a little bit more on Jamal. But it's weird. It's not like, okay, usually if you're building a defensive game plan, you're looking at like, okay, we can sag off this guy, or we got to double team this guy, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're typically doing. It's hard to like scout for and specifically game plan for what Jamal does, which is just quick ball movement and like attacking closeouts, punching the paint, and then kicking it back out. Like, But you're not even seeing that. Like, I didn't really see Jamal touch the paint much today. And the one time he did go to the paint, he got, a contested shot at the rim and he couldn't finish. You just don't really see the same energy and liveliness and pep. And of course, this is 100% normal for second-year players. I mean, the Raptors have a number of them right now. They're relying on him. They're relying on Poeltl. Like, these guys are going to be up and down. Even Grady, to me, he feels like still a second-year level player. Like, it doesn't really feel like he's taking a jump in his third year. These guys are going to be up and down. But honestly, like, I think there's got to be some non-negotiables that need to be there, right? Like, the other day when I was, like, a week ago, at practice, Darko just came out and said he challenged, Jamal Shead. Why can't you be the best on-ball defender in the NBA? Which is obviously like a huge challenge. Like it's like proportionally to Jamal Shead versus like proportionally to Scottie. It's almost like Darko saying Scottie Barnes can be the face of this league. Calling Jamal like you're going to be the best on-ball defender in this league. Like, okay, that's huge, right? And hopefully it's up to him to sort of meet that. But you didn't even see the sort of like the last couple games. You're starting to see mental lapses, which you typically don't see from Jamal, even if he's physically not feeling like 100%, which that might just be me speculating. But he doesn't really look as zippy out there. What you never really see is like Jamal making mental mistakes. And you saw a lot of that tonight where he's pressuring on the full, like Brunson, full court, and he fouls him in the bonus. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like at a certain point, like his aggressiveness, but it's like, This is like an MVP candidate, man, in his own city, in MSG. You're probably not going to get the ball from A. B, he's very good at drawing fouls. And C, you're already in the bonus. Like, that's just not a good play. Or, when they played a little two-man game at the top there, where I think Brunson maybe had the ball and he got a screen from, like, Clarkson or something. So, like, a small pick and roll. Both guards in Jamal and Grady both went to Brunson. That left, I think Clarkson open at the top, a rotation out of the corner to sort of help because they need to, because both guys screwed up, and they swing it into the corner for Josh Hart, who knocks down what looked like his third three in the third quarter. Like, stuff like that. It's like the miscommunications and the little breakdowns are there. It was the same thing with Jamal, what happened in overtime against the Hornets last night, where he comes into the game and the confidence wasn't even there. So it like, the only reason that we can even have expectation is because they showed us they can win. Well, the expectation then is to then, live up to the standard you've already established. And that's when we know that, Jamal's playing well below his level there. And so, I don't know. I think part of this is just like a personnel issue in terms of just the Raptors look small across the board. Of course, you don't have Jakob. You go small. The Raptors had, Scottie versus Cat. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Cat wasn't that big of a problem in this game, but, it was still like, it's clearly like a 7-footer versus a 6'9" guy. Bridges versus Ingram was kind of like a wash. But you put in Battle in the starting lineup. Darko keeps doing this thing where he wants to keep the rotations, steady. And, when he's had these chances where Jakob has missed time on second half of back-to-back, or he had the bad back early in the season, he's alternated a number of different starters with this group. We've seen Jacoby Walters start the last couple of games in place of RJ. That's fine, but we also saw Ochai start in place of Jakob in previous games. You've also seen tonight Jamison Battle come in and start. And I think part of that is just to keep the bench rotations intact. And the bench has been solid. They just haven't played good in the last couple of games, but realistically, the bench has been strong all year. The difficult thing is just like you're really compromising your starting lineup when you go from like one of your most important players in Jakob, and then you go to like Jamison Battle or Ochai Agbaji, which, like, all due respect, like, because the one where Ochai started, that was when they were in Philadelphia. They were playing second half of back-to-back. They lost that one. That left like Scottie Barnes to guard Joel Embiid, and this one they left Scottie Barnes to guard Cat. And it's like, man, I know Scottie's capable. He could do a lot, but you're really taking putting a lot on him if you're not even to give him any help. I just don't really understand. Like, I understand. Okay, I can hear the argument for you don't want to keep the the bench rotation is like whatever, right? You want to keep that intact, but like you also can't just put yourself in a hole right away. By starting a suboptimal lineup. Like, why not just put Mamu in the game? This time, if you put Mamu on Cat, obviously that's still a mismatch, but you now have Scottie who can now be a help defender. Like, if Scottie's on Cat, he can't even help, man. You can't leave this guy. You know what I mean? So, same thing with Joel Embiid. It's like you can't put Scottie on Embiid because Scottie can never help anymore, and then it really, really limits sort of the backline defense that you have. Whatever. I don't think it would have made the difference in a win or loss, but I just think that like ultimately, if you're gonna have this plan where Jakob, due to his age and bad back, like they're gonna need to rest him on second out of back to backs, there needs to be a consistent plan, right? Like it can't just be we try this guy, we try this guy. Even in the second half, we had Jameson start the second half, even though he was very limited in the first quarter, barely played, and it wasn't effective. They got down early. So, and it wasn't entirely Jameson's fault, I want to be clear, but like clearly that lineup wasn't working. And so I thought maybe second half, you don't start with that lineup. They still started with that lineup in the second half. And after 2 minutes, after the Knicks got a couple plays, they took battle out the game and put Mamu in. It's like, you might as well just start Mamu then, right? Because all this like negotiating and shifting, it's like, that's just not particularly helpful. You think back to like when the Raptors, and again, this is like a total luxury to compare to 2019, but I think the comparable is that that was the last time they had to load manage a guy this much in Kawhi versus Jakob now. And in that season, every time Kawhi was sitting, and of course when he's sitting because back-to-backs are coming, Fred would start. And you had a plan. And it wasn't like we try this guy, then we try this guy, then we try this guy. Like we have CMB got a spot start. We got Ochai got a spot start. Jacoby got a spot start. We got like Jamison Battle now got a spot start. Like this guy went from not playing to now suddenly being a starter in MSG. Like that's not going to particularly look great. You know what I mean? And, like if, it's just, that's tough. And then I think more than anything else in this game, the reason they lost is Raptors just like, this is a team that really can't dribble penetrate very much, especially without RJ. RJ can really, not even RJ like off a standing pick and roll, you know what I mean? Like it's not particularly great just because he's not really a threat to shoot from the mid-range or from the three. So he can get a little predictable in terms of getting to the rim, but he's obviously very good at doing that. But typically off the ball movements, he's able to attack closeouts and stuff. You just like, as soon as Grady Dick dribbles, as soon as Jacoby Walter dribbles, as soon as Ochai dribbles, like, the possession's kind of like the advantage is petered out, right? Like those guys aren't very good at attacking closeouts and certainly not very effective at finishing them right now. Part of that is just a skill limitation. Like none of those guys are very strong or very like, if the handle's that tight. And so it really puts a lot more burden on like Scottie to do it or like IQ to do it and Brandon to do it. Brandon, I don't know. Like, this was just such an off night for him that the Raptors kind of had no chance. I mean, he was even missing free throws, 4 of 7 from the foul line. He ends up with 14 points. The majority of that came in the third quarter where he knocked down, or maybe a fourth, where he knocked down back-to-back threes off of driving kicks from IQ. But the game was already like a 20-point game at that point, so it didn't really matter. Over the bulk of the game, he just was not in it at all. And also had 5 turnovers, getting stripped, like the lowest plus minus on the team. Like he was like arguably their worst starter, not even counting Battle because he doesn't even count. He was only there nominally. But yeah, like that part doesn't really sort of factor in. But I do think that like the more that you look ahead to this team and sort of where they need to improve, I mean, part of that you have to ask yourself the question like, okay, this physicality issue, this size issue, is that going to correct itself? I mean, not saying that guys are going to magically sprout wings or sprout height and grow, but like, is this a team that's fundamentally going to be able to play stronger? Because I think the last couple of games have really shown that they kind of wilt under physicality. And if you look ahead to a playoff setting or even an NBA Cup setting, you're going to play against some difficult defenses that are going to scout your little advantages away. So all that's, sideline out of bounds play calls, baseline out of bounds play calls, those are going great for the Raptors. In a 1-game setting or, specifically a 7-game, series setting, they're going to look at all those. They're going to get used to them. They're going to understand how to attack those. And they're going to take a lot of those away. And then, of course, all the little pretty passing movements and the flex screening and all that, whatever, all you want to do. Like, defenses are typically able to negate a lot of that just by being physical. Like, let's say you're forcing a switch, depending on, okay, the screen's coming. Well, if they, are strong enough to sort of limit how you get into that screen and how do you negotiate it, a lot of times you're not going to get that, right? And so that's where, to me, like, either the team figures that out, and obviously I'm not expecting that to happen right away because this is a team that won 20 games and then 30 games the last 2 seasons. They're still young. They're still figuring out. Just because they set the bar for what they can do doesn't mean that they're going to keep doing that all the time. I'm trying to keep those expectations like reasonably in check. But you're either going to learn how to play through that or you're going to like fall on your face. And maybe eventually you're going to need a couple trades to sort of address that. Because to me, it's just like, I don't know. Like I'm tired of watching the Raptors get pushed around. Like I think that, that part is very annoying. Second unit wise, like I commend CMB for flying in for 5 offensive rebounds and doing everything he can, but This guy's like 6'7", man. Like, and it's tough. Like, him and Mamu just are not a effective rebounding duo, especially in the defensive glass. And, having to see them sort of consistently punch up. I mean, whatever. They're bench guys. They got to scrap. They got to fight. But, this is probably why people get so annoyed, and they call every game on the show being like, yo, we Raptors get a backup center, get a backup center. I think it's not just even a backup center. It's just you want to see the Raptors play with more size, man. Like, because when they start playing small like this, that's when you're like, okay, fine. You know what? You're going to have to fight uphill. And again, like, playing small is fine. Like, it's more trendy nowadays to play small, and a lot of that is because you get more guards on the floor, more guys who can dribble, more guys who can attack, you're more fluid. The issue is Raptors smalls aren't even good at that part, right? So, that's something they got to figure out. And I look forward to sort of how the NBA Cup goes. Obviously, the Raptors will be playing these very same New York Knicks in about 9 days. The Raptors will play them next Tuesday, so in December the 9th. It looks to be like OG is going to be back for that one. OG apparently, the last update from Knicks reporters was that he's up to 3-on-3 scrimmages. So you'd imagine in 9 days he'd be ready. And yeah, of course they'll be in Scotiabank. The Knicks have not been a good road team this year, but I hate to say this, but again, the Knicks have like literally, this is like every Raptors Knicks game since that trade. You know what I mean? And they have caused Raptors not just problems. Like the Raptors haven't even really competed closely with the Knicks since the trade has happened. So they need to sort of figure some of this stuff out. And ultimately, it's really fun watching it. It's really, and again, like, no one had more fun than us on this show when the Raptors are winning and we're celebrating and, doing Slander pods. And it's not silly to do that. Like, it's very important to live life and celebrate good things. Like, like, I hate when people like, oh, after losses, like, oh, I got to shit on your parade and shit like that. Like, no, man, you live a lame life and you got to enjoy this. Okay. But, ultimately, you also take a lot of lessons from this. So, like, I'm not upset. You can hear from my voice that I'm not upset. I really just want to know more about this team. And after wins, I learn like what works, and I see, the future and the potential in these teams. And then after losses, I think you see the weaknesses in this team and where they need to grow and which directions they need to improve in. You know what I mean? And so, it was a tough one. The Raptors could not really compete with the Knicks basically the whole time. They made a couple comebacks, and I credit them for not giving up. But ultimately, they were thoroughly outclassed, and it reveals, the number one problem I think for this team, which is just that they're not very big. Basketball is still very much just, about whether or not you can actually, win a lot of your physicality battles. And tonight the answer definitively was no. So I'm going to take a quick break. Let's get a couple questions in. I'm sure you guys will be cooking up fake trades and stuff like that. But I'd love to hear sort of your thoughts on how the Raptors are built right now and where they need to improve. Let's take a quick break. Okay, welcome back to the program. I appreciate you guys sending in questions. Honestly, I'm looking at the comments in the live YouTube chat for the first time all night. Not so bad. Like, I don't feel like people are crashing out or anything. Like, I think people have pretty good perspective on this, and they're just looking for ways to sort of improve the team. So, yeah. Some of the good questions are in here. Give me like another 10-15 seconds to scroll through and just like just really take in what the chat is saying. There just wasn't really much that okay, interesting stat. Okay. Okay, let's go through it. I appreciate you guys for sending them in. Okay, first one. RJ Barrett. There's a conversation about RJ. Obviously, RJ has been playing the last couple games. Looks like RJ is gonna be around the corner. He's been, getting shots up and stuff like that. They did say they're gonna miss. He was about to miss a week last week, so or I guess this week. I don't know. I'm one of those people that like considers Monday to Sunday the week versus like some people consider Sunday as part of the following week. I never understood that. But yeah, like it was announced that RJ would miss a week, so I'm assuming that like even the Portland game is possible for him. They're gonna probably need him in that Portland game. Portland's defense is very good, but in any case, question here is RJ pulls defenders into the paint, which gives our shooters really good looks. We can't really score without him. I do feel like it's like really hard to see the Raptors get effective paint touches. That's one of the other issues. I think toughness on the offensive end is not often spoken about nearly as much as on the defensive end, but I think is a real thing. And RJ is very, very tough offensive player. Like that's why I actually feel confident in like RJ in a playoff setting more so than a lot of other guys on this team. I think again, like I watched like when RJ was in the playoffs with the Knicks, that was they beat the Cavs and then they lost to who did they lose to? The Heat, I think. I think the Heat. That was 2023 where the Heat made the finals, right? But RJ played well. Like obviously there were a couple of games where he didn't play well, but on the balance he played well. And I think the physicality of the playoffs I think kind of really suited sort of the physical nature in which RJ sort of pushes back with. But there's like a stubbornness, there's a strength, there's an ability. He also changes strides well, he takes bumps well, he knows how to draw a foul. Like there's just a lot of skills that factor into like scoring. You know what I mean? That one of the things that bothers me a lot in terms of just like talking about scoring discourse is like we got to shift this guy's shots to this guy. I'm like, it's not that simple, man. It really isn't. Some guys just don't have like the ability to score that much, and it's okay. Like it really is okay. But like RJ really knows how to score in a way that like Jacoby Walter, Grady Dick, Ochai, Battle, these guys like aren't even close to coming to match. You know what I mean? So, yes, and I think once he touches the paint, like I do think there's other kick out opportunities stuff like that. I really look forward to sort of his return to the team because it feels like that three-headed monster, I think, or not monster, that feels like a little aggressive, but that three-headed combination of him, IQ, and Brandon as the scoring possibilities around Scottie, who has been a consistent all time. So that's why I'm leaving him out of it because Scottie's basically gets the same numbers, it feels like every game. And thought Scottie played well until he started missing a couple shots late. But like, yeah, having those three scoring options, I think have played well off of each other, and not only off of each other, but in the lineups where they get to play with second unit guys, because it really hides like how toothless some of the second unit players are right now, especially offensively. What else, man? We should have rested Brandon Ingram today. This was always a scheduled loss. He didn't play in a year, then played 21 straight. He needs a rest. He did look pretty tired. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. Like, obviously, like he played, and so we got to judge him. I mean, also, he's the second highest paid player on the team. Like, he's shown us what levels he can get to. 14 points, 1 rebound. Like, just even the 4 assists against 5 turnovers. Like, it's clearly his worst game of the year. Yeah, I do wonder sort of like how much sort of like Brandon's able to sort of hold up. I think that's always been the concern with Brandon. And when people were knocking the trade, I think the fair part was that Brandon has been, I guess his availability has been an issue. And so, that's more of the concern. So far he's been very durable through 2 months, and knock on wood, I'm doing that right now, that it remains that way. But yeah, Raptors have played a pretty packed schedule so far. They played more games than a lot of other teams, and they actually have a stretch somehow of they got Monday off, but then Tuesday through Friday they play a stretch of 3 games in 4 nights again. So yeah, that's not particularly easy, but like he just wasn't effective, and if he's this tired or if he's like gonna play like this, it's not really helping the team at all. So another question here: Raptors should get a center like Mitchell Robinson, a big that can defend well and crash the glass for rebounds. I'm not gonna lie. The last couple games, Raptors have come up against like these like hustle bigs, like Musa Diabate and Mitchell Robinson, and they have just like I don't enjoy watching the Raptors get physically like manhandled like that. I mean, part of that is just like maybe the Raptors got to play tougher, but they also don't have the right guys. It feels very much like you're going into a gunfight with like a stick or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe I guess you could, dodge a couple bullets and get in and get a couple whacks in, but it's not a fair fight, man. And like, again, like if this Jakob thing with the back, let's like it puts even more strain on the team, that the fact that they don't really have another true big besides him. Yeah, like that would be the number one thing I'd be looking to get. I'd also honestly be looking to get another strong ball handler to sort of for the second unit. Like I think that again, another guy who can drive and attack the paint. Just consistently touch the paint, I think it would really free up a lot of these guys. Part of the thing is the Raptors have, like, Jamal's not even that much of a threat off the paint. When he gets the paint, he mostly looking to pass, and maybe part of that is being scouted out. Because when he's trying to finish, like, obviously he's smaller, right? So he's not much of a threat to touch the score of the paint. Grady's not much of a threat to attack, close out, and score. Jacoby's not much of a threat to attack and close out and score. So that's already three guys that are smaller, and you're losing the physicality battle with basically all three. And you're not really getting much like much of a dribble, penetration and either a threat to score or a threat to make the next pass. Jamal's the closest to that because he does make the next pass really well. But yeah, like those are the two areas I'll be looking to get for the second unit is some true size and a guy who can handle and actually touch the paint and make some plays. But yeah, Mitchell Robinson, he's a good player. He's a very good player. Like he's very physical. He's like an incredible offensive rebounder. Good shot blocker as well, obviously. He looks physically a lot slower than he was previously, but yeah. Yeah. Guy just asked for a new bench. You know what, Bob? Go ahead and do it, man. Go ahead and prove me wrong. Go ahead and get a bench. You know what I mean? Upgrade a couple bench guys. It could really help. Yeah. People are asking about Olivier Sarr in the G League. I mean, he's like another forward. He's like a big forward. He's not really a center. Like he's less physical than Mamu, for example. So, make of that what you will. So I want Collin Sexton on the team. I mean, have you seen what Sexton's been doing? Like a dog like that, I would never mind having a guy like that on the team. Like even a guy who's that scrappy and willing to fight, like he's undersized, but you don't feel it. Same thing with Josh Hart. He's undersized, but you don't feel it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, those are all good. Sabonis will be a great get if we're willing to get RJ or Quick Trigger. I mean, I don't know, man. Sabonis makes a lot of money for what I believe to not to be a championship center, man. Like I'm not complaining. Like Domantas Sabonis is a very good player, but I don't know, man. And speaking of getting guys who get pushed around physicality wise, like he's also another one of those. If you've watched the playoffs recently, plus he's 29 and he makes how much money does he make? 3 more years of max contract. So 42 now, 45 the next year, and then 49 the following year. I don't know, man. No. I mean, no, he just wouldn't be, and he's 29 too. Like this is, so I'm good. I'm good. He's a very good player. I'm good, but no. Yeah, that's not the guy. The next trade I'd be looking to make, if I'm making a small trade, like I'm looking to shuffle some bench pieces and hopefully find a couple guys that are young-ish, but like probably like young in their prime, like 28, 27, 28, maybe 26, but like physically developed guys. Like the Raptors bring a lot of scrawny guys off the bench. And then I think, yeah, obviously getting a backup big would be nice. But if you're going to make a big trade and actually look to add in a significant way, and the Raptors do own all their firsts and they have tradable contracts in IQ, in RJ, you would be looking to upgrade and add another star, like a Scottie, Brandon's level to this team. And that's where, again, I made this point earlier, but like I actually think that the BI trade did a good job in not only bringing him onto the team, but it didn't really cost you that much. So you're getting like an all-star caliber player, but you're also paying like a role like role player prices. Like it's arguably less than what the Raptors got back for like OG, for example, right? It's less than what the Raptors got back for Pascal Siakam. So like you've got him on a discount. Now it saves the budget to actually go out there and get another player, and it keeps your picks intact. So it's a pretty bold gamble, honestly, and you'd have to see like that will be sort of where when Bobby firmly puts his stamp on this team as like okay, now I'm like head of basketball operations. This is the move I make, and this is the level we take them to. I doubt it happens this year. I probably feel like it happens if it does ever happen in the offseason or even next trade deadline. But yeah, like that's something I keep my eye on. But that's probably more like a 14-month vision than I am looking at this specific one right now. RJ to Chicago for any combination of Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, and Ayo Dosunmu. I like Ayo a lot. But I don't know, man. To be honest, like I see what they're saying in terms of like getting the Raptors deeper, and these are usable pieces for the Raptors. Certainly, obviously, RJ is the best player of this group. There's no doubt. I don't like this for a number of reasons. Not only are we just giving the best player on this deal, but we're also kind of burning the RJ trade chip if you are going to use it, because I'd really look to try to package a first with RJ and grab like an upgrade, kind of like what the Raptors were rumored to do in the offseason with like the Derek White plus like I guess the Raptors first at that time, which was the 9th pick for Derek White. I mean, that still felt like not great value, but I could see what they meant by that, right? Because Derek White's a very, very good player, champion, Team USA, gold medalist, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like that. I would rather do that than turning RJ into like 3/4 basically. Like you're trading $1 for 3/4 in this sort of RJ for Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, and Ayo Dosunmu scenario. Yeah. What else, man? Why is everyone big on trading? That's a really interesting question. I mean, I know that I think this is just like part of like online basketball culture is like people love making trades and then like holding front offices to account for why these trades didn't happen. And there's obviously a huge consumption of trade rumors and stuff like that. I find this to be like a very online kind of phenomenon. Like I feel like if you talk to people about basketball and in real life with people, like the discussions they usually have are not about trade. Like it's not even about the game, really. It's about the management of the game. I think part of it is like, okay, you know, you certainly want to see the Raptors improve and a team improve, and how can they look like this and how can they look like that. And it's not like these things are not just genuinely enthused, like fun to think about, but it does kind of have, I guess my point is it does kind of have an outsized impact on what gets talked about online. People love proposing fake trades. People make content around fake trades. It's just like, it almost gets talked about more than the game itself. I don't know. There really is a lot of it. And yeah, I mean, part of me, like, yeah, that's a Padre 3000. They said all season, it kind of gets old. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? So, IQ plus Ochai plus Grady, 2 fronts for our picks for our Trae. Man, Trae's a very talented player, but is he a championship level player? That's the part that I feel hesitant about. I mean, if you want to upgrade the point guard position, there are a couple point guards out there, right? Like, I mean, LaMelo doesn't actually seem like he's available, but whatever. I mean, maybe. I mean, Charlotte does have a new front office in, so maybe they're looking to restart around Knipple and Miller. I don't know. Ball's a bit unserious. Trae's a bit unserious too, but not in this nearly the same way. Obviously, Ja's out there too. Like you'd have to really take a gamble on like there's no perfect player, and it's a lot of like money and pieces to trade for a not perfect player. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be pretty bold. That could be pretty bold. I don't know what defensively you would be doing too. That's a good one too. It's just like what are you doing defensively? But yeah, to the other point, Trae is a walking top 5 half court offense, and I absolutely agree. Trae Young is very, very talented, and very good. I mean, I shouldn't have to say that. Like it's clearly the case. So okay, getting away from trade talk, because to be honest, like none of this is gonna happen. And torturing ourselves over this doesn't really make a ton of sense. I'm expecting a loss every time we play without Poeltl. Yeah, I mean that's pretty reasonable. That's just kind of the case, right? Like the Raptors, they actually did win a couple games during this stretch without Jakob. Because the Raptors had played back-to-backs, but It certainly doesn't feel the same as like when the Raptors were in the Kawhi season and they were load managing him. Like literally the team actually performed better in the regular season without Kawhi in the game. Like they were 17-5 when Kawhi didn't play. In the 22 games that he missed, he played 60. Like that's I mean that's an ultimate luxury. We're talking about a championship team at that point too. So I want to be completely clear, but it kind of did make us like, okay, you know what? If load management happens, whatever. Like, we're gonna save this guy for the playoffs, which is at that point the Raptors all they cared about was the playoffs, and clearly they obviously got it done, and it was totally worth it. Like, but also we didn't even suffer the costs of it because it just allowed the Raptors second unit guys to come in and play well, and when they got chances to spot start like Fred and Pascal, I guess was always a starter, but like he wasn't really expecting to be a starter going into the season, and then he won that spot and ran with it all year. Like they had guys who are like ready to make that jump, and when they got the promotions, they did really well with those. And not only competed but contributed like significantly to those wins. I don't quite get the same sense. Like when there's no RJ, when there's no Jakob, you're not really seeing another guy like chomping at the bit to like take that job. And so what that kind of suggests to me, there's almost like a gap in the timeline. Like you have the Raptors starter timeline, which is now suddenly ready to win. You have a lot of young vets who are in the prime or entering the prime, and they're playing well, and they're clearly able to deliver wins. But the Raptors second unit guys aren't quite at the level where they're like, okay, we're ready to not only contribute in a meaningful way in the bench setting, but we actually are like potential starters in this league, and that's how every time we get a chance to play, we play at that level. Like I don't quite get a sense to see that yet. There's probably like maybe 1 or 2 years away for some of these guys. And that's where it's going to be awkward. The hard thing in the NBA is like balancing the timelines of everything, in addition to a bunch of other stuff. You know what I mean? So, what else? Yeah. Maybe we can bring the 7'9" Canadian from Florida. I don't know. That's just not how basketball's played nowadays. Like, I mean, all due respect to Olivier Ryu, and hopefully, he's good. Like, he's literally a kid. I'm not trying to count him out, but basketball's played so fast nowadays, and there's so much space and so much shooting. Like, guys who can't move, like, doesn't really matter how much size you have when you're just there's just a bunch of space around you to attack. So, I'm hesitant. I'll just say that much. Definitely very hesitant. To put a global perspective on this too, because yes, this is a huge thing. But yeah, Raptors just had a 12-3 months, one of the best months in team history. Imagine not believing in a team after that. Wild. I do think the perspective is pretty important here. Like just because they lost the last two, part of the disappointment is just people got like started expecting winning again, and we haven't expected winning in Toronto in at least 2-3 years. And we haven't actually seen this young group play and win together just yet outside of this recent stretch. So, yeah, like this, it's kind of what I said after the Hornets game was just like a lot of people are going to start crashing out just because like this is like they're raising expectations. And I honestly, a lot of life is managed expectations, not just sports. Sports kind of is like for a lot of people, it's kind of like just like a vehicle to sort of vent their own sort of views on life and society onto, which I find is interesting. For a lot of other people, they're just watching the game for entertainment, or they're watching it for fun, or whatever other reasons. Maybe they're betting on it and stuff like that. But yeah, like people will really attach a lot of emotions to this thing, myself included. I'm not trying to cut myself out of this. Like I'm firmly in this group, but I'm also trying to like sit back and realize that like, yeah, like this is undeniably a really great month. November was a really good one. Raptors came off a good stretch. They're not always going to win like that all year. This is not OKC, and I don't know why we expect the Raptors to be playing like OKC. This is a young team that will have ups and downs, and hopefully you bank enough early wins, then you can survive a couple of lulls. Like, it was kind of the same stretch where even for that 2013-14 Raptors team, which I think this is probably the closest to that type of feeling where you didn't expect that team to be good, but then they really made a jump collectively. And of course, that year they had the trade with the Rudy Gay thing. But like the Raptors started 6-12 that year, and then they finished the rest of the year 42-22. They had stretches in there where they were like, oh man, like Raptors are winning like similar to this, like 12-3 in a month type of thing, and they're starting to catch up wins. But they also had stretches where they were like 500. You know what I mean? That's natural. You know what I mean? And realistically, looking into this weekend, I probably expected one of these two to be a win. The Charlotte game was kind of the one they needed to go for, and they were up 12 with 5 minutes left. Like they should have closed that one out. They didn't. Now you all of a sudden have no Jakob, and you get blown up by the Knicks, who have had your number all to the last 2 seasons. So, it happens like that. But I don't really know what to say beyond that, other than just it sucks. But I kind of expected 1 for 2, and they got 0 for 2. But I also didn't expect 13 of 14, right? So, yes, I think you can both be really happy with how the team played, but also really try to explore where this team needs to improve and go after losses. So, I don't know. I trust that we have an emotionally mature audience with us usually. So, do I think they should have kept Orlando, like Orlando Robinson? I don't think it really changes that much. What's he even doing this season? Let's check in on Orlando Robinson. Hold on. Orlando Robinson for the Magic has got into 3 games. Has barely played in garbage time. I mean, the Magic always had a lot of bigs, so it didn't really make a lot of sense for him to be joining this team in particular. Orlando's solid. Like, that's probably the type of center you would get if you were just, trying to grab anybody off the street type of thing. He's okay. It was cute that he started knocking on the threes too. Like, I was really hoping that, that's real for him, because that really would have changed a lot for him. But yeah, he's solid. Perfectly, like, totally fine third string big. Do I think Jonte would have solved the backup 5 issues? I think Jonte got bigger issues to solve than the backup 5 position for the Raptors, man. Let's you know what I mean? Let's chill, you know what I mean? So Donkey also says AJ is going to get paint touches, score the ball on a bench roll, something the bench has been lacking quite a bit in the last couple of games. Shooting 40% from 3 in the 905. Yeah. I don't know, man. People say if I'm Darko, I bench Shed and play AJ. Okay, we're going too far, man, guys. Jamal's had a tough week. There's absolutely true. Jamal has had a tough week, but we're not benching this guy for AJ Lawson. They don't even play the same position, guys. I'm enthusiastic for AJ as well. Hopefully he gets a chance. I feel a little bit bad for him because he's clearly like too good for the G League, but I guess nobody's really willing to give him like extended run as a like NBA player just yet. I don't know if he really solved some of the physicality issues, but he does give you a kind of a similar to what RJ gives you in terms of the transition, can shoot threes, and a burst of athleticism going to the basket. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't hate trying it out, and probably I would start slower though, and probably try out like kind of what we saw here with Chucky Hepburn tonight, which is like garbage time minutes, like get him some time there and see if he does well. And if he does well, and he has like 3 straight good stints, maybe we promote him a little bit to like the Jamison Battle 10th man position. But I do think that like the Raptors stacking so many extra shooting guards, not only on their roster, but even in the G League with the 2-way contracts, part of that is like, I think there has to be a plan for those guys to eventually play. And it feels like the Raptors are kind of gearing up to, shed a couple of their shooting guards. So, we'll see when the trading season happens, I suppose. Is Precious Achiuwa still okay with the Knicks? What does that mean? Is he still with the Knicks? No, Precious is with the Kings this year. Bring back Precious, I guess. Bring back Malik Williams. What else, man? Bring back Freddie Gillespie. Yeah, we've had some tough ones, man. We really have had some tough ones in terms of the backup big department. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is like not somebody who just randomly sign off the street and hope to get lucky. Like, I think you actually need to get like a real option there. Hey, bring back Davion? Nah, man. Davion is well entrenched in Miami, man. They love Davion in Miami. Miami's having a really good year as well. There you go. So, bring back Armani Brooks. Yo, sick name for a guy, man. Sick name. I love Armani Brooks. as a name. Sorry, not necessarily as the player. I mean, he shot a bunch of threes. He was kind of like a skinny 3-point shooter. You know, that type of option. You know, we've had some real random players, man. Yeah, but I love the intensity that CMB plays with. There you go. Yeah, CMB, the last couple games, I feel like he's just like, he's like quietly like snapping a little bit. Like CMB was awesome in this one. Off the bench, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 offensive rebounds, 5 assists. I love the one moment where, you know, he tied up Josh Hart for a rebound, and I think either Matt or Jack relayed it on the broadcast. They were like, after that jump ball, like, Josh Hart looked over at RJ Barrett on the Raptors bench because it happened on the Raptors side of the floor. And he said to him, like, damn, this guy's strong as hell. Because, like, I mean, it forced a jump ball, whatever. But, yeah, when CMB puts his hands on the ball, like, he's not letting go of that thing. So, yeah, I thought CMB has been playing really aggressive and really physical above his size. I do wonder what it will look like if they had a true 5 with Mamu at the 3 and CMB at the 4, or you could swap the two of them. I mean, they're pretty like size, but I think you would probably see it will put more of a playmaking a burden on both of those guys. I think Sandro can do it. CMB remains to be seen. The outside shot hasn't gone in for him in a while. But yeah, I think it could be something there. Maybe that's like the best version of him. I think part of the evaluation process for a young player too is once they join your team, it's like what position should they play and what's the best way to optimize them. And yeah. Bring back Bruno Caboclo. He's ready finally. Hey man, Bruno looks big as hell these days. Hold on, let me look up what Bruno Caboclo 2025. Bruno Caboclo. Yeah, he's really like gone a lot bigger, a lot stronger. Shouts to Bruno, man. I you know, for all the jokes, I really did enjoy Bruno on the team. Like he was kind of like our walking human victory cigar for a while, and he was just also very lovable and adorable. Here's Bruno. I believe this is what's this? Like a America Cup or something. Bruno actually helped Brazil beat Giannis, and he was like the primary defender against Giannis. Like you can see, he got a lot stronger, man. He got a lot more physical. Oh, he's playing basketball in Israel now. Hey, that's tough. All right, the fun's over. Let's move to the next question. Did Aaron Baines retire? Hey man, all love to Aaron Baines. He had a scary slip in the shower and really hurt his neck, so hopefully he's okay. But yeah, that could you know, hopefully he's okay. What about Len? What about Birch? Birch, I think, like got healthy finally and restarted his career overseas. He was playing for Marc Gasol's team, Girona, for a while. So hopefully he's okay. Alex Len, I think he actually stuck in the NBA for a couple more years. Maybe with the Wizards, maybe with the Lakers. I don't know. He's always with one of those two teams, or maybe with the Kings. He's always on the Lakers, Kings, or Wizards. It feels like. Do I remember DJ Card? I do remember DJ Card. Every time he came in the game, I was like, DJ Carden. Love. I don't know. There's something so funny about a guy's named DJ, but yeah, shouts to DJ. He seemed really like a nice kid, lefty, a little athletic. Ultimately, I don't think it really worked out, but yeah. Bring back Bebe. Yo, Bebe, I hope wherever you are, man, I hope you're good. Bebe actually came out a couple years after leaving the Raptors and the NBA. He came out and he was pretty open about his battles with depression and alcoholism. So just wish the best for Bebe. That guy was good vibes at all the times, man. Coloco's available. Was cut for Drew Timmy, so that shows you what the Lakers thought of him. Yeah, Coloco, I think we're still waiting for Coloco to get stronger. I mean, obviously he had the health issue, and so first and foremost, he was able to come back from that and just live a good life, which is good. But I still feel like he's like real skinny. I don't really feel like he's the type of like physical presence that the Raptors need for the second unit. Rafa Ruggiero, he was physical. He just had no skill whatsoever. Maxey just played 52 minutes. Wait, hold on, Nick, man. The NBA got to investigate. Oh, and they lost too? Yo, he played 52 minutes in a loss? Yo, that's crazy. What the hell? Yo, Nick, what are you doing to your boys, man? 52 minutes for Tyrese Maxey. He did go for 44 points, which is great. 7 rebounds, 9 assists. But, man, to do all that and lose? Like, Nick, man. I feel like Nick perpetually has that mentality that he's still coaching like in the British Basketball League, and so or like in the G League. So his mindset is so much of like a hustler, of a grinder. Like only day that matters is today. Like that long term outlook, like he's just burning guys out, man. It's not great. It's not great. There was a stretch there where we had Fred and Pascal number 1 and 2 in minutes per game, to lead a whole season, and then OG was like 5th. Scottie was in that range too. Gary, like it's too much, man. Like this is just not how the league is anymore. He's like Tibbs. He's like the new Tibbs. Now that Tibbs is gone, like yeah, that's the new Tibbs. What else, man? People bring up the craziest. People are bringing up the craziest callbacks, man. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is fun. Appreciate you guys. Okay. I'm gonna hand out some stars and wrap it up. Tomorrow we'll come back. Me and Alex will be talking all things Raptors. Our Monday episode, which is Raptors. This is how Hello and Welcome goes, man. The start of the week we talk Raptors, and the longer the week goes, the more silliness we get into, and we talk NBA and more banter. I think towards the end of the week. If you haven't listened already, the episode with Lindsay was very, very fun. Lindsay has joined us on the Nation Network, and I'm looking forward to hearing her, Cabby, and Dan Riccio's show, Off the Roster, make its debut tomorrow, I think at 10 a.m., I believe. So we'll be looking to tap in. Certainly we'll be sharing a lot of those links to Lindsay's work. But Lindsay was more than happy to join us on the show. And, it was very fun, and then it got very chaotic, which I think is actually the best way to describe Mrs. Lindsay Dunn. So anyway, your 3 stars from from the game tonight. First star. Hold on, why do I have the Knicks leak? Hold on, let me pull up the box score. 3 stars from tonight's game. I don't know. I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'll give the 3 stars. I think put them in whatever order you want. Scottie, who had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. IQ, who had 19 points, 7 of 14 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3, 8 assists, sparked their stretch there. And then Collin Murray-Boyles, 11 points, 5 of 6 shooting, 8 rebounds, 5 offensive. Those were the only guys that like single-handedly like sparked runs. But yeah, like that wasn't really enough to win the game. In fact, it wasn't even enough to really get back into the game and even get, close to level with the team. So it was a struggle all the way through, man. But it happens. Your Gerald Henderson award, you can give it a couple options here. Deuce McBride came out and just like literally torched the Raptors. He didn't do anything after that first quarter, but that first quarter was very memorable. Mitchell Robinson getting 15 rebounds in 16 minutes. My goodness, man. That's a lot. But, Josh Hart, certainly a great player. 20 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. I'll give it to Josh Hart. Josh Hart was fantastic in this one. 20 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 offensive, 3 steals. I can't believe this guy is like 6'4". Obviously, the big thing with Josh is that he's not particularly great at shooting threes, but Raptors were leaving him open like TJ McConnell style, and he knocked down 4 of 7. That's going to kill you. So it happens, man. It happens. So thanks all for listening. I appreciate all of you. Leave a like on the stream. And yeah, let's not give up on the Raptors just because they lost 2 games. Okay, I think losses are also very, very useful because it shows you where you need to improve. So thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks for naming every random Raptor that's played on the team for the last 5 years, including, by the way, last second someone put in James Wieskamp. Yes, right. I remember James Wieskamp as well. No, he's Joe Wieskamp. Why are you calling him James? His name is Joe. Yeah, so it was a fun one, man. It's a fun one. Hopefully they beat Portland next. Yeah, I agree. So thanks everyone for listening. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of this weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow.